Is traditional retirement still a thing? Well, if you're thinking about retirement and you're worried about what those years after you retire are going to look like, I understand. In this video, we're going to explore two respected sources and see what they're saying about traditional retirement and about creating a strategy for those years ahead. Hi, I'm T.L. Walters, and I understand where you're coming from. Now, on this channel, I talk about Encore careers, technology, and getting a winning mindset for the years beyond 60. Figuring out what you want and what you need to do for those years beyond your traditional retirement age, especially if you don't have a hefty 401k or retirement savings plan, is something you really need to think about. You might be feeling nervous about the whole retirement thing, or maybe you're thinking, well, it's a few years off and I'll figure it out then, or somehow everything's just going to work out. Or maybe, like many our age, your perception of those years after retirement is really based on what you've seen from previous generations. Or perhaps you're just frustrated about the whole retirement issue and you don't know exactly how you should plan. So, can we forget about traditional retirement? And if so, what do those years beyond 60 look like? In fact, should we, as many suggest, just ditch the notion of a traditional retirement altogether? Like I said earlier, I just want to talk to you about this for a few moments, and I want to share some insight from these two leading sources about our so-called retirement years. So, I remember when the traditional retirement age in the United States was about 60, for those people who can remember those days. But those days are long gone. Some of us can still remember the days when the normal retirement path went something like this. You work for a company for a set number of years, you leave the workforce in your early 60s, and the company provided you with some sort of a retirement package. And that, along with any savings or investments or property that you could sell and your Social Security, well, you could live fairly comfortably for your remaining years. But introducing 401ks back in the early 1980s changed retirement planning forever. The financial burden for saving for retirement shifted from the employer to the employee. Now, I'm not going to deal with why that all happened in this video. Now, and ever since then, we've been encouraged to start our own plans for retirement. I began to do a little research, and I recently read J.P. Morgan's Guide to Retirement for 2022 and a transcript of a Washington Post interview titled Future of Work, Retraining for the Digital Age with Dr. Susan Golden. She's a lecturer in business management at Stanford University and author of the book Stage, Not Age. I'll leave links in the description so you can look those up for yourself if you like. Now, these articles really drive home some hard-hitting facts that I'd like to share with you today. Both the guide and the interview had a common thread indicating that we can forget traditional retirement. First and most significantly, both underscore our increased longevity, and that may be the most important trend our society has ever experienced. Everyone wants to live longer, happier, healthier lives. Longevity affects everything from our health, our lifestyle, business, and personal finances in positive ways, but it also impacts the way that we need to think about retirement. In fact, J.P. Morgan's Guide to Retirement for 2022 says advisors should expect their clients to live to be 100 and spend about 35 or more years living in retirement. Now, that sounds great, doesn't it? But J.P. Morgan also points out that too few Americans have calculated what it's going to take to retire at their current lifestyle. And in the Washington Post interview, Dr. Golden points out that there are few 40-year careers that can support a 40-year retirement. Now, the sad fact is that 25% of Americans don't have any retirement savings at all. And many that did have a retirement account had to dip into that retirement savings because they had to leave the workforce unexpectedly. Maybe it was because of a COVID-related issue. Maybe it was personal health issues, or they took on caregiving responsibilities, or the company that they worked for downsized or closed. But more and more people 60 and older are aware that there is no retirement plan that's going to take care of their needs well into their 90s. This single issue is enough to make us forget traditional retirement and make other plans for those years after our 60th birthday. The J.P. Morgan Guide points out that many people are going to have to generate 70 to 80% of their income that they're going to require for those retirement years. Now, that means either through savings or some other means, such as working a job. Now, people with extremely low incomes are going to need about 100%. So the bottom line is that because we're living longer, there's a very good chance that your retirement savings are not going to be enough to cover your expenses if you live to be 90 or over. So many of us have concluded that we'll work either part-time or full-time for years well past our full retirement age. Now let's look at the bright side. While I love the idea of being able to just retire and live a life of leisure for my remaining days, it's just not practical on a lot of different levels. For me, I believe it's beneficial to my physical and mental health. I agree with the statement that Dr. Golden made when she said in the interview, more and more people want to work longer and actually need to work longer. I left my job in high-tech manufacturing in my early 60s. Now, you can watch the video or read my blog post about why I did that. I enjoy what I do for a living now. I'm super engaged in my work, I have reasonable deadlines, and I interact on a daily basis with a team of experts that are scattered around the globe in about 40 different countries. My work gives me purpose, and it provides my wife and I with an income that's comparable to what I was making at my previous job, and I do it all from home. I knew that my 401k would not be enough to maintain the type of lifestyle that I'd become accustomed to. So I made the leap early so I could make that transition to working past what Social Security calls my full retirement age. Plus, I think it's great to keep working because it allows me to remain relevant, keep up with the new technology. I don't even think about my age at all. But continuing to work is more than just feeling good about yourself. It's also beneficial from a societal standpoint. Staying in the workforce helps offset the steady decline in the percentage of younger workers. And while many of us will have to forget traditional retirement, there's a bright side. There's an increasing number of companies that are seeing the benefit of having older workers, and they're finding new ways to integrate older workers into their companies. Dr. Golden points out that people have a variety of contributions to offer from 65 to 100. In fact, Dr. Golden says that the global market for the 60-plus age group could be $22 trillion and includes every industry that you can imagine. So why is all that important? Yes, we can forget about traditional retirement age. The future for most Americans isn't really a retirement from work. It's just another phase of work life. So if you're over 50 years old, it might be a good time to start thinking about what you want to do in this next phase of your life. You might want to consider a full-time Encore career or part-time job. Or you might want to think about becoming a freelancer, becoming a consultant, or starting your own business so you can work at your own pace. But one thing's for sure, it's much better to plan now before you feel pressured into making that decision. So if you're in your 50s or 60s and you're wanting to know more about Encore careers using technology to boost your productivity and getting a winning mindset to make your 60-plus years a success, then be sure to sign up for my newsletter. All you have to do is just click the link in the description to sign up. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.